Hello and welcome to the Storytelling for the Soul podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Kanata, and this is the place we talk about all things expressive writing and other creative techniques, all with a little bit of Buffy the Vampire Slayer thrown in. Buckle up and enjoy. Welcome back to another episode. Thank you so much for joining me. Wherever you are right here, right now, I hope that you are safe, happy, and well. Today's episode was prompted by a bit of an off-the-cuff remark from someone who I know who said something to me in jest and as a bit of a humorous, offhanded comment, and it struck a chord. Now, if you've been here long enough and you know my work, we know that whenever we are triggered, that is something not to run away from and to turn towards with curiosity and investigate, which is obviously not the easy way out, because the easy way out is to just ignore and pretend that that feeling never happened. But in this moment, a comment was said to me and I felt it in my gut. I felt that queasiness. I felt a little bit sweaty, which happens to me when I feel slightly angry and activated. And I got a little flutter in the heart as well. So it was definitely a trigger for me. And it's not the other person's fault, because this person has no way of knowing that such an offhanded, humorous, well, a perceived humorous comment could have struck such a nerve. But here's the thing, upon much reflection, I've come to this conclusion, and it's that nothing that you give people is ever enough. And I don't say this from a place of defeat or pity. I actually say this from quite a positive place, because having realized this, I've come to a point of acceptance with everything towards the outside world. So what I mean by this is, yes, nothing is ever enough. So if nothing is ever enough, what's the next possible logical step? Well, instead of trying to look outward and constantly trying to keep people happy by doing more, achieving more, having more, even just being there for people on a 24/7 basis, being their go-to person. Maybe you're one of those people, because I thrived off being one of those kind of people for so long. I'm quitting that. I'm at the point in my life, I'm 37, I've spoken about this quite a bit recently because it's become quite topical for me. I think as I'm maturing, and I'm definitely approaching midlife, and as the great Brené Brown would say, shit is getting real. Apologies if you have children, but you know, there isn't forever left. And the reality is none of us ever know what's going to happen tomorrow. But let's face it, when you're in your teens, in your 20s, you think you've got all this time ahead of you to do the things that you want to do, to achieve what you want, to chase your dreams and so on. When you get to 37 and you're legitimately approaching midlife, things change. And from 35 onwards, I have found that they have changed rapidly. And the way that I think of things has almost done a 360. And actually for the better, because I'm no longer all that fussed about keeping other people happy. Because the reality is, if it's never enough now, it's never going to be enough. And this is what I took away from this incident. I could be, and I'm not saying I am, but I could be incredibly skilled and good and competent in 10 areas of my life. I'm just throwing this out there as an example. And there could be one or two areas where I don't feel quite as confident and I'm not as good at them, at those things. And I'm sure we've all heard of negative bias by now. Human nature is to hone in on those one or two areas where you just might not be good at those things, or perhaps you just haven't done those things enough to become good at them. But either way, it's kind of like if you've ever posted something on social media and you get 50 comments saying how brilliant it is, and then you get one or two absolutely slamming your content and having a go at you. What do you focus on? You focus on those one or two negative comments. So here I am. I'm at this point where I realize it's never going to be enough. And I'm totally okay with that. So what's the next logical step after that realization? Well, for me, it's putting the pieces together and doing all the things that I do on a daily basis, things like journaling, meditating. I like the sauna, I like strength training, things that fill my cup and help me to be a better person, a better version of myself. And these days, instead of trying to keep everyone else happy, which is a thankless task and is impossible, because reality is, people don't think about us at all in reality, because everyone is too busy dealing with their own stuff. And that's just the reality of life. So all of our hang-ups, all of our thoughts that people are constantly judging us, thinking about us 24/7, whatever it may be, sure, people are judgmental and perhaps they make an offhanded comment here and there, but everyone's got enough of their own stuff and enough of their own hang-ups to be worrying about that rather than worrying about us. So for me, in this phase in my life, I'm asking myself a very pointed question, and it's, does X, Y, and Z make me happy? Is X, Y, and Z going to get me closer to one of my goals? No one else's goals, not what someone else wants for me, not what is convenient for someone else that I do for them or achieve for them or can do for them. It's all about me. Because at the end of the day, the longest relationship you're ever going to have is with yourself. And here's the thing, I don't want you to use this as impetus for basically never stretching yourself and never getting yourself outside the comfort zone. I want you to come to a place of acceptance and making informed decisions about what you pursue, and not pursuing hard things because others want them for you. Pursuing hard things because you want them for you. Let me give you an example. I'm recording this on the 29th of November 2024. I've already decided and put in place that there is one specific area of my life that I am not content with. I'm not willing to give up on. And it's something that's been a consistent challenge for me for many years. So as of this point, I've already made steps to start working on it in 2025. It's a bit of a tough time of the year now because everything is starting to wind down for the Christmas and the New Year break. But I've already committed now to start doing something about that thing in 2025, next year. And I'm not doing it because of anyone else. I'm doing it because it bothers me. And much reflection. And this is the thing. If you're the kind of person who has every single second of your life scheduled, it's really, really hard to have quiet moments of reflection and hear your own whispers of your soul and know what you're thinking without all the background noise. So, if you're someone who's incredibly overscheduled, who doesn't have a moment to yourself, I challenge you to start finding pockets of time. It can be 2 minutes to start with. It can be 5 minutes to start with. But little tiny pockets of time to sit with yourself and think. Don't judge anything that comes up. Think, whatever surfaces, pay attention to what's happening in your body and nurture that relationship with yourself. Because, as I said, the longest relationship in this life is actually with yourself. And The sad fact is we pour more time, energy, and effort into everything around us. Our careers, our partners, our kids. I'm not saying that all those things are not worthy and that they don't need your time and your attention. However, when you don't look after you, when you don't fill your own cup, you are on a one-way street to burnout. And once you're at the burnout point, it's a long way back. Take it from me. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. Wherever you are, whenever you are listening to this, have an amazing day, night ahead, and I will speak with you next week. I hope you've taken something out of today's episode.